Hey guys, welcome to Photographers Unveiled. I'm Ashley B.
And I'm Ashley K.
And we're glad you're here.
Super.
Hope you're having a good Monday.
Oh, it's Monday? It is going to be Monday when this is released.
Yes.
Stop tricking me. I believe everything you say.
You do. I have to remember that sometimes. I'm like, hold on. Ashley will take what you say as fact, not opinion. Remind her it's your opinion.
Right. Like if Ashley ever says anything like to compliment me, especially like on my hair or on my makeup, I will not change my hair or my makeup for 3 years. And then you'll have to compliment me again for me to change it.
Oh, so good. So good.
It's the truth, Ashley.
It's because I give compliments out
very rarely.
Meaningfully.
Okay.
I'm trying to give them out a lot more.
I noticed.
I am. I'm attempting.
Because I get to say thank you more. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So what are we talking about today?
We are not talking about this.
We're not talking about compliments.
No.
Kind of. Not really.
This is going to be a weird episode, though. Very different from what we have done in the past.
In the past 3 episodes.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted it to sound like amazing. Like we've been doing this for a long time.
No, it is. We wanted to be able to release something that was inspiring, made you feel good, kind of gives you a little bit of like a reminder.
Yeah.
The last few episodes were a little bit of tough love and like how to, and kind of to the point and probably spoken from a place of like, guys, come on.
Yes. Yeah.
But
this episode's going to be more like a conference where there's dramatic music behind and everybody's like getting on their knees and like, yeah.
That reminds me of like an MLM conference.
Yeah. That's exactly where I was going. Fireworks.
Or like, what is that? Scientology.
Yes.
And you like watch the documentary and everybody is like, everything is going off. It's like a Disney experience, but for work.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's where all your money goes, to that one event.
Throw it. It may or may not be worth it.
Right.
But here we're hoping that you just listening is worth it.
Yeah.
So first we're going to start though, and we're going to see how this goes. But we kind of wanted to start from a place of more personal, just for a smidgen moment of time, and talk about like something current that like we can't stop thinking about, and that may change a lot or it might remain the same for a while, but we want to talk about something that we just can't stop thinking about in a way that it's impacting our everyday, and it might impact your everyday, or you might hear it and have your own thought, domino effect to escalate from there.
Yeah.
And then we also wanted to talk about something that we've learned in the last week, or a mistake, or something. Like, we're definitely not perfect. We're learning all the time. We want to talk about those things because I think one of the best ways to learn from people is to learn from their mistakes. So we also want to do that
too.
And I'm not 100% certain actually what I think the mistake of this week is. That was actually not something we talked about, but we'll see what we get when we get there.
Yeah.
So, Ashley, what are you currently obsessed with?
Well, what did I say just in our brainstorming? Because I had so many things. But which one is your favorite? And I can kind of...
Moving.
Okay. Yes. I have the tightest hips on this side of the Mississippi, and I don't know what that is. And I saw a TikTok where it was basically...
It's always on TikTok.
It is. That's where I do my research. Okay. So it was this woman showing up on the Today Show.
Yeah.
And she was like, if you can sit down on your butt, cross your ankles, and then get back up. And if you can do this, you're basically in proper health. And if you can't, all she said was, you know what's going to happen in 6 years. Like, that's all she said. Am I going to die?
She's like, I actually don't know what's going to happen in 6 years.
Yeah, like, why is it 6 years? Like, why isn't it like when you get into your 50s or something? Like, across the board, everybody is going to have this thing happen if they can't do this in 6 years. I don't get it. So, me doing that and being very challenged, and I wasn't able to get up. I was like, okay, I'm a failure.
I was able to get up.
Get yourself out of here.
I literally could not.
I'll see you at 6 years. I'll be dead.
I could not believe that you couldn't get up.
No.
Though.
But then I went to the skating rink and I tried to do this trick where you like get on you scrunch into a little ball and you have your leg out and you hold your leg.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And the person that I went with didn't struggle at all. She gets up, she gets down, she gets up, she gets down. She keeps repeating. I fall on my ass in front of a bunch of 8-year-olds, I would say maybe a dozen, maybe more times. Like I kept trying and I kept trying. Because when you fall, when you're already scrunched down and you fall on your butt, it don't hurt that bad. It's just embarrassing and your ego goes down to like 400 stops.
So your ego went down 400 stops multiple times.
Yep.
So you ended up with 0 ego.
Yeah. Negative 3,400. Like it was not a good experience trying and failing. So what I noticed was like, okay, my lower body, no mobility whatsoever. I work out 6 days a week. That's like what my whole life revolves around. Count my macros. I do all of that jazz. What good is all of that if I can't move my body correctly? Or like, I don't know what the right term would be.
Well, that's the flexibility. You've kind of always struggled with flexibility.
Yes.
But you've also never done anything about your flexibility.
No, I try and I'm like, this hurts so bad.
Yeah, she like tries yoga once and she's like, I'm not doing that. That hurts.
Never. So now the whole mission is to find ways to move my body that I really like, that are also, gonna.
You're gonna come over to my house after this meeting today,
Mhm.
and we're gonna do like a 20-minute mobility class on the Peloton.
Okay.
They're
Look at this.
they're amazing, and it's really fun. Justin and I literally do it twice a day
Oh my god.
because it's so nice, and you can just come try it with us.
okay.
There's some like wild things that you do, and you're like, oh my god, it's great.
Oh,
But anyways, not that that's gonna be your solution. I just want you to try.
like I finally for the like last 2 months I've been adding in mobility exercises at the gym. Really cool. But that's really where it's at, and moving my body in ways that are fun. So like dancing,
Yeah.
kind of also like showing more skin than I'm used to see the body doing its thing. So like I've never in my life, ask Ashley, I've never worn shorts in public.
No, that this is actually true.
This is true. And finally I'm like, forget it. Everybody has cellulite. I don't care. I can get down to 121 with my 5'10" self and I'll still have it. So really, I'm working on like just
By the way, she's not getting down to 121.
No.
That is the opposite of the goal, actually.
No.
However, your point with that is like no matter
Sorry,
how
yeah.
thin or skinny you got in the past, your cellulite still existed because
Yeah.
it's genetic, it's woman, it's
Mhm. Yep.
part of life.
Yeah, exactly. So just showing more skin to see what your body can do, like looking at it all the time. And
From a place of love and not a place of
that's right.
like
the
criticizing your
confidence.
body.
Yeah. Yep. So feeling more feminine, more confident, and owning the fact that I'm not flexible, but trying to be more flexible.
Dude, I feel you.
Did I go into that too deep?
No, it's great.
Okay.
I loved all of it.
Yay!
I loved all of it. I think that there is something we're like so disconnected from the way that we move,
Yes.
especially like our American culture. Can't speak for anywhere else, but it's just like productivity, especially me. I say especially me, right? But in comparison, I will do productivity all day where you're like, no, I have to play as well.
Oh yeah.
So I think that it's important that we learn to move our bodies a lot. Did you learn anything this week?
I didn't.
You didn't learn anything this week.
No, but I did do something where I was like, okay, that was a good idea. I'm going to have to do that for every other meeting. So I guess you could say I was learning.
Yeah.
I learned from
Okay.
my
What'd you do?
not mistake.
I love hearing the things that you discover in like consult calls and timeline calls. Anytime you're talking to a client and afterwards and you call me and you're like, Ashley, you will never believe what I just discovered. It's like
Yes.
you unearthed something.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. It is. And I feel like a lot of the times the consult calls, they go the same. Like they
Oh, yeah.
don't really, like I have a spiel kind of just so I can get out what we do, what we provide. And then I get to know the couple a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But at this call, I was pulled to give like advice, and I never really get the time to pull in advice. So I asked the couple, go ahead.
Well, I just love the idea of giving them thoughts early.
Yeah.
Because if you give like them thoughts like at the timeline call, they're like, whoa, girl, I already had the whole time or the whole wedding planned. I can't derail versus like putting little things for them to consider in so early on.
Yeah.
You know, like they still can like mull over things.
Yes. And especially like during this consult call, I knew that the bride and the groom that were maybe going to book me were also looking at other photographers too. So that's kind of a thing to ask during a consult call, is if they're still on the hunt. You might not be their first choice, or you might not. Actually, it's kind of nice to, in your mind, to not think that you're the first choice, because then you show up to impress. You're like,
Yeah.
I want to be their first choice. But
I do feel like you love the calls when you're not the only option.
yeah.
Because like I remember you calling me after another one and she was meeting with multiple people.
Yeah.
And you're like, I really hope she picks. Like there's like just this, I don't know, it's not an assumed she's going to pick me type of thing. It's like, I just hope I hope she likes me as much as I like her.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you always hit all your points because you're like, I
Mhm.
really want you to know this. And then you can also be like, hey, when you're talking to other photographers, I would suggest you do this too. Like what I did for her, because she is meeting other photographers, was say like, hey, get the galleries from those other photographers and ask for galleries where it looks like your venue. So hers was an industrial venue. So I was like, ask for an industrial venue with maybe minimal windows. And then also ask for a wedding that was shot in the month that you're getting married or the season. Because those are big variables that change
Mhm.
from wedding
Like
to
getting
wedding.
married in December and then get a June gallery.
Yeah. In a very open, natural lit building. It's
Mhm.
not going to be the same vibe. So I kind of threw things at her because I knew they were going to be very, very handy for her talking to other people. So loved it. The thing that I gave her advice on that I never usually do was I first asked her what her biggest, like, what was so important to her on the wedding day. What did she want to feel like? And then I asked the same thing for her fiance. Like, what was he most excited about? And they both gave me different answers. I'll just tell them. He was most excited about the party, and she was most excited about not feeling rushed throughout the day. In our last episodes, we talked a lot about how quick we are, and we never want it to feel rushed, but we have ways of making sure that it doesn't, with also still being very efficient with how we shoot and making it not bored, making there be a lot of momentum, et cetera, et cetera. So I just gave her some advice, like starting your morning earlier will help it so that your day does not feel crammed. We don't have to cram in all of these things in a tiny window. Let's get ready earlier, stretch out that time, and then make the photo times longer. So I may not need 30 minutes for bridesmaids, but I'm going to give it to her because I know I'm going to shoot for 15, and then she'll have time to hang out with her girls for 15 minutes. And I can still shoot that. So there's oh, go ahead.
Oh, that just makes the day feel longer for them that
Mhm.
they have time to hang out. And so because you know that from experience, you're able to be like, hey,
Yeah.
it will feel rushed without cushion.
Cushion.
But if you have cushion in between everything that you're not going to need, you'll have free time to play Uno or Flip Cup or make mixed cocktails together. I don't
Yeah.
know, whatever activities you guys like to do together, you'll have time for it.
Yes. Yeah. And so, with us doing this for so long, and maybe some of our listeners too, you have so much knowledge and so many things that you love about the wedding day. Like, share that with your bride.
Yeah. What are things that you've seen other couples do that
Natural.
felt very, it created memories, things that people want to go back and relive, and it's not
Yeah.
just a copy paste
Yes.
day. But
Yeah.
if we don't give that advice early, then like it is going to be a copy paste day because they don't have anything else to follow besides this template that they find online that everybody else finds online, and then they just
Roll.
do their day the exact same way everybody else does.
Exactly. So, it's important to ask what's important to them. That's a really good line. And then give them ways to achieve that,
Yeah.
which is exactly what I did. He wanted the party to be a party. And I was like, the one thing that will make your photos look like a party is making sure that your reception can get dark enough.
And it's not even your photos looking like a party. That's a really good point, though.
Yeah.
But like it feels, nobody wants to dance in a bright reception. And this is something nobody thinks about
No.
because they're like, ooh, I want my reception to feel like
Romantic.
there's lights everywhere. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, until you dance and nobody wants to be seen. They want to go feral on their own.
Right. Yes. Make sure your lighting is dimmable, or make sure it can go off all the way without like making it be pitch black to where, your elderly folks can't see. Or,
Yeah.
you kind of want to make sure that like the dance floor is going to be in the right light for that party time.
I love that. It also helps the party vibes from a photo perspective. If it's really dark, you can like do normal photos plus a couple of like light draggy photos to like mix it up for them.
Make it a paparazzi flash
Yeah.
moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
Those are really good little thing you learned.
You learned. Yeah.
You
Did you
learned.
learn? I didn't. But no,
You're like, I
kinda
did.
I learned that was a good idea.
Yeah. I love that. Well, and then that can make you memorable,
Yes.
you know?
Oh, she's here to help, which was all it was about.
Yeah.
Like, I want them 100% to have their day the way that they want it to be.
Yeah. You know, that goes directly into our topic.
What?
You're just there to help. You just want
Yeah.
to be there to help.
Yes.
So what we want to talk to you about today, I love all of that, Ashley.
Thanks.
What we want to talk to you about today is how you can show up with heart, show up and care.
Care,
Like,
thoughtfulness.
Yeah. How many times do you show up to a wedding though and it's like, it's your job? It's just your job. Like, this
Yeah.
is my job. I'm just going to show up. Nobody's listening. They're
Right.
too drunk.
I have no energy.
She's exhausted and stressed out about what's always the weather. She's stressed out about the weather, or like her parents are driving her crazy. And like, so now she's driving me, whatever, like these negative thoughts are.
They're there.
They come up sometimes, you know, especially it's like those wedding days that are maybe a little harder. And because maybe your couple, their head is not in the right headspace because they're stressed. There's a lot weighing on them for that day to go the way that they've been planning for it to go. So when it's not going exactly the way that they're picturing, they are stressed. And so I think we need to remember a lot as photographers that we affect the temperature of the room. We affect the temperature, as in like mood, of people, all the people around us.
Oh, yeah. If you think that they don't notice you, you're fucking wrong. It's true, though, because you're like the thing that everybody has to notice.
Yeah, they have to pay attention to you to a degree.
Has to notice?
You're right. It is have to notice.
Keep going. Keep going. Let's just roll right over that one.
We want to talk about serving from a place with heart
Mm-hmm.
and actually showing up and caring. I think what helps me the most is when I'm on my way to a wedding, I get in like this headspace and I listen to like podcasts as we're recording one. I like to listen to podcasts of the people who inspire me, and maybe they have like this calm demeanor, or they, you know, they talk from a place where their approach is similar to mine, and I am reminded of what I'm doing in the first place. That helps me get in a good headspace versus like rushing out the door and just, which is me sometimes too.
Sometimes?
Rushing out the door and just trying to like get there as fast as possible. My best weddings are the weddings that I show up ungodly early. I'm like an hour early because I'm there and I'm ready. I've done the transition upon arrival and I can truly be there for the couple. What helps you get in a good headspace?
Putting myself in their shoes every time. You know, thinking about what I would like of my mother or my grandpappy, you know, like things like that. Constantly thinking this is something that they would absolutely cherish for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You're going to love your parents and your grandparents and your siblings and like all these people that exist in your world that show up on your wedding day. You are going to love them your whole life, right?
Yeah.
You're going to love them your whole life. So these pictures are little snapshots of all of them together in a day. They're them experiencing this for you. But as a photographer, if you see grandma crying because bride and dad are dancing on the dance floor, that photo of grandma crying will mean so much to that couple because that couple is going to love grandma their entire lives. They're going to look back at that picture. You know what I mean? Which brings me to like telling stories in your images.
I'm sorry. I just thought of that. Who was the guy from Zach and Cody that did the podcast? You were obsessed with the podcast for a minute. What, Sprouse? Dylan Sprouse?
One of the Sprouse twins, I have no idea, went on Call Her Daddy.
Was that it?
It was on Call Her Daddy.
Have you seen?
I don't
have you
know.
Watched it?
Only the periods, only small.
Dang.
I couldn't stomach it. Why?
No.
Do I remind him of you? Wait. Do I remind you of him?
No.
Oh, thank God.
There was just one phrase I can't even remember. He said over and over like 24 times. And you did remind me of it just then when you were like, all to say. Because you say all to say, right? What did you just say?
I don't know. I'm focused on how you're comparing me to a Sprouse twin right now.
No. I'm not.
All to say is something that I say.
All to say.
All to say.
No, but he said it like, I'm not kidding, over a dozen times.
Did you listen to the whole thing?
No, somebody just compiled it.
See, those are the ones that I watched, or like the
Yeah.
compilations of it. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the cigarette. I couldn't handle it.
I couldn't handle it. Okay. Sorry, we're going to go back in. I might think of it later.
Cool. Storytelling. I was like, where were we? So storytelling and images.
Yes.
Will you talk about that? Because I feel like that's something you're spectacular at. You have been to retreats on like telling more stories in your images and not just posting pretty photos. And
However, pretty photos are the things that I always end up posting. We are very like authentically focused, I would say, getting families and reactions from guests. But I always get pulled to do portraits. I don't know if that's just the industry being like, you have to post pretty portraits. But that's not our main focus on the wedding day.
no, and that, God, you're so right. Because we don't ever post any of the things. But if you like look at a full gallery,
Yeah.
there are portraits, right, during portrait times, but we deliver
A ton
of photos and it's all candid.
Yeah.
We don't show
what
it.
a lot of people notice whenever I'm working is that like I'm working. Let's put some quotes on the working part, because you have to work so hard when you're a storyteller. You are not a fly on the freaking wall. That's the easy way out. You have to be so like immersed
I
in
love
the
this.
experience of weddings, and you have to be kind of invasive in a way, like in a really nice, polite way. Prep your people beforehand, though. Let them know where you be, where you go, how you dance around the whole time. Because I like to ebb and flow, meaning I like to be really close to people to get storytelling with a wide angle lens. And then I like to also be far away just so they kind of forget about me for a second.
Yeah. Kind of like a fly.
I was going to say that.
But it's not a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the fly that comes in and you're really
Just really annoying.
and then you disappear.
Yeah. So some things that you can think about for storytelling. One, filling up an entire frame. That's one of our favorite things to talk about.
Absolutely.
Yes. And filling up a frame with what?
People.
Layers. Okay. There could be multiple layers in one photo. So we got one layer being a portrait, a photo of the bride. Let's add another layer. The groom facing the bride. You're shooting now behind the groom. So you kind of see a little bit of the groom's back and shoulder and head. Okay. That's 2 layers. Now let's throw the venue behind the bride. That's 3 layers. Now let's throw in grandma and grandpa in the window of the venue watching the bride and groom see each other. That's 4 layers. Now let's throw, I don't know where we're going with the second one. Somebody on the roof. Like you keep throwing in layers after layers after layers, and your photos are going to get twice as
They have
more
depth.
interesting. Yeah. Yes. Interest.
That's a really good point too, is on interest. If you're, before you go and click that shutter, when you have a moment, right? Especially like when you're not just like snap happy trying to just grab smiles on the dance floor, but if you have a moment to think and compose it before hitting the shutter, ask yourself, is there a way that I can make this image more interesting?
Yeah.
So like while you're composing it, step to the right a little bit, and now all of a sudden you might have a little baby running towards the bride and groom. But if you didn't step to the right, you wouldn't have added that layer, that depth to the picture.
Right. Oh, yeah. Like some of my favorite photos, like one that I can even think of it. Like I'm thinking of this one photo off the top of my head. It was the groom. He was getting ready to see his bride for the first time. It was the first look. And this little kid with this little dinosaur hat came over with this mint chocolate chip green ice cream. And it was like, just looking at him like, who's that guy in the suit? And I got the kid's reaction with the groom like waving at the kid. And it was like that moment would have been gone forever had I not been just like, oh, that's so fun.
And in 20 years, that kid's going to be grown up.
Yeah.
And a real human.
I mean, it was at a resort. And they'll never meet again.
Oh, it was a really random kid.
Truly. And the mom was like, get out of the way. Like you could see her physically trying to move.
Well, the one that comes to my head is like the waving in the window.
Yes.
So the bride and groom are in the foreground of the image. They're not in focus, but there's this child on the second floor of the venue waving through these floor to
Huge, like-
ceiling windows, like doing this huge wave, and the bride and groom are also waving. So you see 3 sets of hands waving. The child's in focus. The bride and groom are not in focus, but it tells this story of here's the venue, here's the bride and groom waving at this little kid that
Yeah.
they know.
Yeah.
And it's just this really beautiful moment that is preserved.
Yeah.
And it's just for making that more interesting, right? You could have zoomed in on just the kid waving through
Coulda.
the window.
Who would have want that?
Zoom out, and now you have a story.
That's why the 24-70 lens is so freaking powerful.
Yeah, it really is. It's amazing.
It really is.
So I love that. I think showing up to your wedding, caring about the memories, the people, each
the
and
storytelling.
every individual person present.
Because those people are never within those 4 walls again.
Right. And we know it, right?
Yeah.
You know that.
Yes.
But it's like we need to remind ourselves of it like all the time.
yes.
Because instead it's like, okay, I'm just going to get what I need to get. I need to get the wedding party, I need to get the bride and groom, I need to get the family.
Yeah.
But it's like there's so much more heart there.
Yes.
And this might be your 50th wedding or 100th wedding or 500th wedding, but it's their first, maybe second, right? Like, but like for most people, it's their first wedding.
Yeah.
And remembering that and keeping that at the forefront of your mind can help you show up and care so much more because it's not just your job. Like this is a memory that they're making. This is a core life moment for them. It's a very pivotal milestone for them. And just remembering that each of those people has an impact on the couple that hired you.
Yes. And I do have a note on that. Like, I know that weddings are very exhausting. And you know that. But with the amount of people that are there and the amount of people that are very important to your couple, your client, you don't have time to sit down a whole lot, if at all. And you wonder why people look at you crazy when you do. You have to work all day to achieve this thoughtfulness, this caringness, this empathy.
Yeah, finding the images
Is hard.
Yeah. Like if you just shoot what is there for you.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities that can be missed out on because there is so much heart and laughter and love within those walls. Like it is just oozing with moments and memories and perspectives.
You just might be missing it.
You might be missing it because you're going to take and I mean, if you work a 12-hour day, even anything more than a 10-hour day, you got to take a break.
Take reception breaks. You know, like during the later evening when open dancing is happening, we sit down. There are parts, but nobody's noticing us because there's nothing to miss. I noticed that my step counts were extremely low on wedding days, and we're obviously moving around all day. And I figured out why. It's because I always have my camera up to my face.
Oh, yeah. So you're not actually
moving my arms.
Yeah.
And that's a tip. Never put your camera down. Keep your camera up, ready, anticipate.
Okay, wait, that's a really good point. My friend was going through all of our pictures one day and they were like, how do you get all of this? And I'm like, well, don't put your camera down. And in their brain, they're like, well, I don't put my camera down. Like my camera's always on my hips. My camera's always with me. And I'm like, no, literally keep your camera in both hands and ready to fire. Because the hardest part is like when you see one of those little baby moments and you're like, ooh, let me get that. And then you reach down, grab your sling, bring it up, turn it on. Settings are wrong, screwed up, moment's gone.
Yeah.
Right? Versus cameras up, cameras ready. You see a moment, then you pivot and shoot it.
Yeah.
You have it already up there because those seconds that it takes to get it from down to up and ready to go are valuable seconds. And we all know we've experienced them constantly. Like I still experience it even with my camera up. I'm like, dang it, I missed it. But if the camera's up, you're way more likely to catch a lot more of those little moments. And it's so much less exhausting to keep it up than it is to bring it from down to up.
Yeah, I don't think it'd
bicep
be
curls.
weird. Yeah, it'd be weird to be like, just have my cameras like flick, flick, flick. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. And you anticipate. That's another really good thing to do when you're serving on a wedding day with heart. Anticipate what's going to come. Like we all know after, like when dad sees her for the first time, even if it's not planned to be a first look, there's going to be this moment of the jaw drop. Like anticipate what's coming and be ready for it. And maybe it won't quite happen that way, but like anticipate the bride and the groom, or not the bride and groom, bride and maid of honor are going to hug after the toast because it happens every time. But if you're now looking at the best man and then you're like, oh crap, they're hugging. Well, yeah, they always hug.
Yeah.
Like wait for that moment. Wait for that. Anticipate that mom might cry during the father-daughter dance. Anticipate that.
Mm-hmm.
Anticipate that people are going to be clapping during the cake cutting, and tell your second shooter, hey, focus on parents during the cake cutting and like their celebration after the fact.
I love that.
Like, anticipate what's going to happen and delegate accordingly.
Yep. And also that makes me think of capturing what they see. So capturing what the bride and groom see. They see those clapping reactions during the cake cutting. Get that, because that's part of their memories. That's what they're going to hold on to. And then when they get their photos back, they're going to be able to be like taken back.
Yeah.
So that could be a whole other episode.
Oh, there's a million in here. There are a million little micro episodes, because I'm even thinking about like shot lists. Like, this whole thing eliminates why we don't really get shot lists ever. Like, literally ever. The only time we get a shot list is, well, never. We make like a VIP list of like very important people. It's like, tell us who your important people are. But otherwise, we never get shot lists. And I think in part it's because this is kind of what we're about.
Yeah.
Like what we advertise, at least. So people see is like, it's a lot of what's naturally happening versus like what's going to be posed.
Yes.
Which is a lot of like shot list stuff. But
yes.
yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I think the weddings that are the most memorable for you as a photographer are the weddings where you showed up and you showed up caring a lot. And then the weddings that are forgettable are the weddings that you're also not emotionally invested in. So I think prep yourself beforehand, get in the right headspace, love your couple, like look into them, follow them on social media, interact with the things so you care about what they're doing.
Oh.
The weddings that I care so much about the people, I think it's a lot of homework.
Yes.
You know, like an unintentional homework. Like, you've invested in them and gotten to know them. Those are the weddings that I feel like you can show up the best. You want to serve them. You want to stay longer for them.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, ooh, let me tell this story.
Let me tell it good.
But remember, it's like this is the first time they're doing this. This is their first wedding. So show up. It's an honor for us to be invited into their day. Like, they didn't have to choose you, and they did. So if you show up your best, then you can give them their best, which in turn could be your best work. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's how you get portfolio work.
Oh, yeah.
Not by poses, I don't think. It's by caring.
Yep.
Do you have anything to add?
Nope. Show up to the day with your caring self.
Yeah, because people remember
The way you make them feel. I really had to have you set me up for that one because I was forgetting.
Yeah.
And you gave me that look of like, you better say this with me.
You ready?
Yep. You ready?
You ready?
Are we leaving?
I think we're leaving.
Okay, let's close the door on this episode.
We will. We hope you guys have a really wonderful week. You have a great wedding this weekend if you're shooting this weekend. Otherwise, stay inspired.
Yep.
Figure out how to ramp up your experience and the way you make people
feel. Love you guys.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.